Honda CRF250F. Our Canadian cousins have been abusing these little Hondas for several years in their rental fleet. Three of us flew over to Canada and rode the CRF250F in all sorts of terrain. It was way more fun than we expected. It is so easy to throw around. And a lot of the customers ask for the race-oriented CRF250RX, then change to the much softer F because they were actually faster on the little red beast. A quick history, it began with the CRF230F in 2003. It was bulletproof. It was a great bike for beginners, but most riders would find the limits of the little Honda quickly once they acquired some basic riding skills. In 2019, the CRF250F was introduced. It was essentially a complete overhaul. The new fuel-injected engine had a shorter stroke and more power. It was complemented by a new chassis with a longer wheelbase, an upgraded suspension, a rear brake disc replaced the drum brake. Strangely, the gearbox went from 6-speed to 5-speed, but the gear ratios were suitably wide. As far as we know, there are no big changes since 2019. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, seems to be Honda's philosophy. We will look at the pros, cons and common mods for the CRF250F. What do we like? It's cheap, $5,000 in the US, $8,000 in Australia and $500 credit to spend in store. It's incredibly user-friendly, so like the earlier 230, it's still great for beginners. A very low seat height at 88.3 centimeters or 35 inches. The clutch is very light. The CRF250F feels very light because the weight is kept low. Stalling the engine is very unlikely due to a heavy flywheel and lots of grunt. There is none of the snappy throttle response common to most fuel injection systems. The power, very linear with plenty of torque in the mid-range. What about intermediate riders? If you aren't too tall, too heavy or riding too aggressively, it's surprisingly capable. It does have soft budget suspension with few adjustments and less suspension travel than an enduro bike, but it's actually quite reasonable for the money. The strong mid-range power can move the little Honda along briskly on twisty tracks. I tried to follow Meg's Brap on the much more powerful CRF250RX. I could never keep up for long. Coxie is a silver class hard enduro rider. He spent 3 weeks riding the CRF250F. He was consistently hitting big logs and hill climbs that most riders avoided. He thoroughly enjoyed it. And as mentioned, many of the intermediate riders at Traction E-Rag events initially ride the CRF250RX, then rapidly change to the 250F. Why? It's just so much easier to ride, and 23 horsepower is often all you need in the woods. Reliability. It's rock solid. I spoke with the mechanic who maintains the Honda fleet, and they simply don't break down. Unlike the Beta fleet a few years ago, where every single bike broke down during the summer riding. What are the potential issues and problems? The budget suspension. We actually think it's pretty good considering the low price tag. It works well for easy trail riding for riders up to 90 kilograms or 200 pounds, but heavier or more aggressive riders will find it's way too soft and needs more damping. Very light riders may be surprised though. Megs was happily jumping the CRF and found the suspension was reasonably good for her weight. The bike weight. The CRF250F is actually quite heavy, 119 kilos or 264 pounds with a full tank. It feels very light when riding, but if you need to pick it up or lift it onto a bike stand, you notice it. Honda has obviously used steel instead of alloy for some parts in order to keep the price low. We did see a project where they spent a fortune to reduce the weight, but generally if you want a really light bike, you need to spend more on an enduro model. Ergonomics, it's brilliant for riders of short to medium height, but tall riders will definitely feel cramped, especially when trying to stand on the foot pegs. The rear brake pedal sticks out and can catch passing obstacles and bend easily. It's made of steel, so it's very easy to bend back again. We suggest bend it inward for protection. What else? It's a minor point, but you need an Allen key and Phillips screwdriver to access the air filter. Needlessly complicated. It's also hard to tighten or undo the oil dipstick unless you have very strong fingers. Common mods. There are engine mods available, but generally you spend a lot of money for a minor increase in power. The vast majority of owners say it's not worth it. Just buy an enduro bike. Suspension. If it's too soft, it's definitely worth trying budget mods first. Start with thicker fork oil. Still too soft? Upgrade the fork springs. The same modification applies with the rear shock if you can disassemble it yourself. But generally you won't get huge improvements until you also get proper revalving. Again, it's probably better to put the money into a proper enduro bike instead. Let us know about your mods. Unfortunately, the old CRF250X is no longer available. It was definitely an enduro model, but with the user-friendly engine characteristics. Today's RX model is definitely a race bike that needs to be ridden aggressively. Who will the CRF250F suit? The beginner dirt rider will love it unless you are very tall. It's also a bike you can keep riding as your skills improve, as long as you aren't too heavy. If you're a very short rider with lots of experience, it also might suit you if you don't expect huge horsepower or lots of suspension. We occasionally hear about very skilled riders with modified CRF250Fs who regularly embarrass other riders on enduro bikes that cost twice as much. So, have you ridden or owned a CRF250F? Any favourite mods? Loved it or hated it? Let us know in the comments.